So, I don't know if you guys have seen the news. I'm sure all the videos are all over YouTube, and like a regular dumb person, I knew that the preview page existed, but I only opened it just to click that share button and never to share it to anyone and just grab the 20,000 Mora. And thus,
Wow.
I completely overlooked the fact that this information was already available. So, hello everyone, Ethereal here again, and today we'll be taking a look at the two new confirmed artifact sets that are bound to be released in patch 4.0 for Fontaine. So we have the Golden Troupe and we have the Marechausee Hunter. I'm not French. I don't know if that's the correct one. So let's go over the Golden Troupe first. The 2-piece effect increases elemental skill damage, while the 4-piece effect increases elemental skill damage even further by 25%. And if the character is not on the field, the damage of the elemental skill will be increased even further by another 25%. So this, at maximum, will lead to a total of 70% boosted elemental skill damage, and this effect will be cleared 2 seconds after taking the field. So if you think of what characters this is made for, I'm sure if you guys know like characters who, well, the one and only Prinzessin der Vertilang. I don't speak German, so I don't know how that is pronounced. I don't know if I did that correctly, but yes, the one and only Fischl is one of the best characters. In fact, I would argue Fischl is probably the best character that is able to use this right now, because most of her damage source comes from Oz, and both her abilities is just basically a way to put Oz down the field for even longer. So that, without a doubt, this is the new best in slot artifact for the DPS heavy Fischl. Other options, we could probably consider the likes of Albedo. While I would consider that Albedo, this might be a side grade compared to the Husk of Opulent Dreams, but I think with the right substats, or maybe if you don't feel like farming the Husk domain, if you're not interested in farming for your Noelle or your Eater, or maybe you're not farming Ocean Hued Clam for your Barbara, Kokomi, or Chi-Chi, and let's say you just got Lyney, or maybe you're trying to farm the new artifact set for another character like the Marechausee Hunter, this would be a nice side grade and a nice option you could put on your Albedo. However, that is given the condition that you do not use your elemental burst, because if you guys are not familiar with how the game works, every time you swap to a character, there is a 1.5 second cooldown before you can swap to the next character. So the moment you use your Albedo, if you were to swap in your Albedo and use your elemental burst, you would basically be losing that 25% elemental skill damage. So this would be a decent option for Albedo, on the condition that you build him for purely defense and crit and you don't actually bother using his burst at all. I guess you could say other options would involve someone like Yae. However, I feel like we'll probably have to do some testing, and at least the theory crafters would probably have to spend some time to do the tests on how much better this is for, say, versus the regular 2-piece build for Yae Miko, because I feel like her burst does do a decent amount of damage, but from what I remember, I think most of her damage comes from her elemental skill. So until the testing is done, we are not going to know whether this piece is going to be a slight upgrade or more of a side grade for Yae, but I think it would be a decent option regardless. And in terms of other characters, I'm not so sure about this, but if we were to look at the roster right now, if I were to think of any other characters that can use elemental skill, like I saw a video by MMO Jax, Nahida would be a good option if you're trying to run like a DPS spread Nahida, but your Nahida has to be off field. And I think it is quite difficult to trigger the effect, because if you have to use your burst on Nahida, you would be losing the 25% skill damage. And to be honest, I think you're better off using the 4-piece Gilded. And if I were to look at any other options right here, I'm trying to think of other characters that do a lot of damage from their elemental skill. And Kazuha is definitely not the way to go. And from what I can see, I don't think there's really much characters that use pieces for their elemental skills. So I think this artifact, the Golden Troupe, is mostly a big W for the likes of Fischl and Yae. Albedo is kind of situational, but I think if you are farming the new artifact set, this would be better for you rather than, say, farming the Husk of Opulent Dreams. Because I can speak from experience, I don't have Albedo, but I haven't really been getting any good Husk of Opulent Dreams, and maybe like I only got like 1 or 2 decent Ocean Hued Clan pieces, so maybe you can try your luck in this domain. As for the second artifact, the Marechausee Hunter, so the 2-piece increase normal and charge attack damage by 15%, and the 4-piece makes it so that when the wielder's current HP increases or decreases, their crit rate will be increased by 12% for 5 seconds. And this will stack up to 3 times, with a total of maximum 36% of additional crit rate. Now, I released a video about whether you should pull for Lyney on Yelan, and based on the information that we have and on the footage, the gameplay footage for Lyney, he does have a health drain mechanic every time you do his level 2 charge attack. And I think his elemental skill, I'm not really sure about this. I don't know if it's officially out yet, but I guess I'm just gonna speculate for now. We don't really know what the elemental skill does, but I assume maybe there's something to do with this artifact, because very likely based on the description of this set, this is definitely the best in slot for Lyney. And I remember, if you guys remember the 4-piece effect of Berserker, so the Berserker set is a 4-star artifact that where the 2-piece gives you like 12% crit rate, and the 4-piece makes it so that if your HP is below 70%, I believe, or is it above 70%, you'll get another 24% crit rate, which totals up to a free 36% crit rate for the character. So I remember when I saw that artifact and I was like, if there was a 5-star version of the Berserker artifact, it would be really strong. And guess what? This is basically the 5-star version of the Berserker with a little bit more of a condition, but given how the way they describe the effect of the 4-piece, very likely we're going to get a lot of characters with a health drain mechanic or some sort of like maybe health increase mechanic. Maybe we're going to get a mix of healers, or we're going to get buffers who maybe buff the team in exchange for HP, or maybe someone like Lyney who just exists, just does damage in exchange for HP or some sort. So I think this obviously is going to be great, the best slot for Lyney, and I think if you're able to build up the stacks fast enough, you might be able to forego farming for crit rate pieces, and you can probably use a crit damage circlet, and maybe you could like focus more on crit damage pieces for your Lyney instead of crit rate. However, if you were to look at anyone else who can consistently take effect of this, you would think of Hu Tao. However, Hu Tao's elemental skill only consumes her HP within the singular instance like every 16-15 seconds, so it's not really that great, and the buff doesn't last long enough for that, and she can't really stack it. However, unexpectedly, apparently this artifact can be used on, well, Xiao. Because the way Xiao's bursts work, if you guys are not familiar, every time he is in his burst, he rapidly loses HP over time. And because his HP always changes up to a certain point, because he cannot die from his elemental burst, the HP drain from the burst, which means this allows any Xiao mains or anyone who plays Xiao, it allows Xiao to just straight up build for more crit damage, because very likely, I don't know how often the HP drain is, but from my experience, it's actually quite fast. And based on the description of the artifact, there doesn't seem to be a cooldown on how fast you can gain stacks, so I think this might be the new Vermilion. Like, I think this might actually be better than Vermilion in depending on what teams you're on. Like maybe Hyper Carry Xiao, right? Where you have a lot of attack buffs, and something like Vermilion giving you a lot of attack buffs would maybe have diminishing returns, because you'll probably be running someone like Bennett on your team with like 4 Noblesse. In terms of other characters that does a lot of HP drain, because it doesn't necessarily have to be HP drain, because right now we only know the official information for the 4.0 characters. So right now, there's a possibility that future Fontaine characters may have some sort of ability to change your character's HP, whether it be a drain or whether it be a healing, or maybe they just straight up like cut your maximum health. I think that could be a possibility too. Like one of the potential examples would be something like the Hydro Archon, Furina, or Fossilor, so however you will call her name. So I think this new domain or this new artifact sets, both of them are pretty solid. Golden Troupe is easily best in slot for Fischl. It'll be a side grade for maybe someone like Albedo and Yae, depending on your team and the situation. While the Marechausee Hunter is definitely a best in slot for Lyney, and possibly Xiao if you do not want to bother farming for the Vermilion domain like a certain other content creator has been spending their time with. I'm sorry. So I think right now there's not really much things we can really do about, because I think our current lineup doesn't benefit from it. But I think we might see a lot of new potential users, whether with our existing lineup or our future lineups, based on how the kit of future characters work and how they interact in different types of team. Anyways, I think the new artifact set is going to be great. I will be farming this artifact set a bit if I do get Lyney. If I lose 50-50 and don't get Lyney, I'm still going to farm it for my Fischl, because my Fischl right now, this is going to be a footage on screen, is currently running a 2-piece, and arguably, as much as the stats look really good, she has a good amount of ER, and she has a R3 stringless or whatnot, I would like to have those pieces passed on to my other characters. And also the Marechausee Hunter would be nice for my Xiao, because my Xiao, once again, Xiao, I'm not using 2-piece Viridescent, I'm not using 4 Vermilion because I can't be bothered to farm it. So it would be nice to farm this artifact to give it to characters like Fischl, Yae, and my Xiao so that I can pass on their artifacts to maybe characters such as Lisa or maybe any other characters that I have right now that are in need of some degree of upgrades. Anyways, that's all for the video. I think you guys have probably seen a bunch of stuff, and there's still a bunch of things that I can look at, like the new weapons or maybe the new bosses. Or maybe I'll probably wait for the patch notes to officially go out, then we can probably go over what is officially out. I'm looking at the preview page right now, and we do have information on the Battle Pass weapons. But from what I can see right now, maybe I'm dumb or maybe I don't know how to navigate this, but we know their names, we know how they look like. However, I'm not really familiar with the effects if we don't consider the other side of things, which I would not like to talk about. So thank you very much for watching. I'm super excited to farm this new set, to watch my Fischl do huge damage numbers, and I'm really excited to get the Marechausee Hunter for either my potential Lyney or my Xiao so that I can pass down all the two-piece artifacts to my other characters. Hopefully, I'll see you guys in the next video. I have no idea why I'm stuttering. It is what it is. I'll see you guys in the next video. Like, subscribe, do all the same stuff as always. I'm going to be covering more stuff as we get more official information about the new patch release over on HoYoLab or any other sort of places that is not, you know, like leaks, because, you know, we don't do that around here. So yeah, hopefully y'all have a good one, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Have a good one.